What makes Reynold Poernomo a MasterChef legend? There are contestants on MasterChef, and then there are icons, the ones who don't just cook well but make the entire competition feel different when they're in the kitchen. Reynold Poernomo, one of those rare contestants who didn't just stand out, he redefined what was possible. And the crazy part? He didn't even win. But if you ask MasterChef fans who is the greatest dessert chef in the show's history is, there's a good chance they'll say Reynold before you even finish the question. It all started back in 2015 when a 20-year-old Reynold walked into the MasterChef kitchen for the first time. The moment, everyone knew Reynold was special. Every MasterChef season has that one contestant who makes a strong first impression, whether it's because of a bold personality, an incredible backstory, or just sheer talent. Reynold, he barely said a word. He didn't need to. Instead, he let his cooking do the talking. His audition dish was a coconut panna cotta. Now, panna cotta isn't exactly the most revolutionary dessert. It's smooth, creamy, and can be found in any high-end restaurant. But the way Reynold executed it was on another level. The texture? Flawless. The balance of flavors? Spot on. The presentation looked like something straight out of a 5-star hotel. When the judges took a bite, they didn't just like it, they were stunned. According to them, it was the best dessert they've had in 6 years. 6 years!
Well, I reckon that's the best dessert I've seen in a judge's audition in 6 years.
MasterChef Australia had seen hundreds of contestants by that point. Some great, some good, some absolutely terrible. But no one had done this. And suddenly, everyone watching knew that Reynold Poernomo was about to change the game. The Dessert King takes over. After that first dish, Reynold didn't just live up to the hype, he exceeded it. While other contestants were busy perfecting their steak, sauces, and pasta dishes, Reynold was in his own world, making things no one had ever seen before. Let's talk about some of the desserts he made in Season 7 because, honestly, they were insane. One of the most famous dishes was the forbidden fruit, a hyper-realistic apple-shaped dessert that looked so perfect, you'd think he picked it straight off a tree in some magical fairy tale. And of course, the legendary moss dessert. At this point, people weren't even questioning if Reynold was talented. They were questioning why he wasn't already running a 3 Michelin star pastry kitchen. But let's talk about something that doesn't get enough credit, Reynold's composure. Because while his desserts were mind-blowing, his ability to stay cool under pressure was just as impressive. Cooking on MasterChef is absolute chaos. Cameras are in your face, time is ticking down, everyone is running around like their lives depend on it. And then there's Reynold. Calm, focused, moving with precision. You could throw the most complicated challenge at him and he'd just nod, take a deep breath, and get to work. No panic, no drama, just pure calculated execution. That kind of mindset is rare, especially in a competition where even the best chefs can crack under pressure. But Reynold, he made it look easy. Until one challenge changed everything. Reynold had made it all the way to the semifinals, and at this point, everyone was expecting him to be in the finale. He was consistently blowing the judges away week after week, creating dishes that felt borderline impossible. And then came that challenge. During a pressure test, the contestants were tasked with replicating Chef Bright Graham's flame-grilled bonito with pickled cucumber, Celtic mustard, and shiso dressing. At this point of the competition, one small mistake was game over. And unfortunately, Reynold did make a mistake. His fish was overcooked, leading to his elimination.
Reynold, you brought us a delicate, pretty version of Brett's dish, highlighted by the fineness of that cannelloni skin. But there was one detail that we couldn't overlook. Your fish was overcooked on the underside, it was dry, and from all of us, we're really sorry, but you're going home today.
Just like that, Reynold's MasterChef journey was over. It was brutal, not just for him, but for everyone watching. It felt wrong. After all those insane creations, after proving time and time again that he was on another level, he wasn't going to be crowned the champion. But here's the thing, nobody really cared who won that season, because Reynold had already won something bigger. He had cemented himself as a legend, a people's champion. Most contestants leave MasterChef and disappear. They go back to their regular lives, maybe open a small cafe, maybe keep cooking as a hobby. But Reynold became something much bigger. Because when you change the way people see food, when you create dishes that leave people speechless, when you make an impact so strong that people still talk about you years later, winning doesn't matter. And as we would soon find out, Reynold Poernomo wasn't done yet. Not even close. The Return of the King. If there's one thing MasterChef loves, it's a good comeback story. And in 2020, when MasterChef Australia Back to Win was announced, bringing back some of the greatest contestants to ever step foot in the kitchen, there was one name everyone was hoping to see. Reynold Poernomo, the Dessert King, was back. And this time, he wasn't just a young contestant from season 7. He was older, wiser, and even more dangerous in the kitchen. Right from the start, Reynold reminded everyone why he was a fan favorite. The other contestants were all incredibly talented, but Reynold had this aura about him. This time around, he was more experimental, pushing boundaries even further. He created a dish called White Noise, a monochrome masterpiece featuring coconut, white chocolate, and yuzu. It looked like something straight out of a futuristic fine dining restaurant. And then there was the Golden Snitch, a Harry Potter-inspired dessert featuring brown butter mousse with tonka bean caramel, coated in chocolate, accompanied by pear yuzu sorbet and yogurt snow. At this point, the judges weren't even surprised anymore. They had already accepted that Reynold was operating on a completely different level. But if MasterChef had taught us anything, it's that no matter how good you are, nothing is guaranteed. Reynold was cruising through the competition. He was delivering knockout dishes left and right, making it clear that he wasn't just here to impress. He was here to win. And then, just like before, everything came down to one dish. This time, it was a semi-final pressure test, and the contestants were tasked with recreating Chef Martin Ben's intricate toffee apple dessert. Reynold's dish was visually appealing, but the judges noted that his caramel was too sweet and his apple component was smaller than required. These deviations from the original dish led to his elimination from the competition. And so, once again, the dessert king fell short of the title. It was heartbreaking. But at this point, nobody even cared about the trophy anymore. Reynold had already cemented himself as one of the most unforgettable contestants in MasterChef history. But this time, when he left the kitchen, he wasn't just going back to regular life. Because while other contestants were still figuring out their next move, Reynold had already built something of his own. The restaurant that changed everything. Even before Back to Win, Reynold had already taken his talent beyond the MasterChef kitchen. Alongside his brothers Ronald and Arnold, he had launched Koi Dessert Bar, a high-end dessert restaurant in Sydney that quickly became a must-visit spot. And if you thought his MasterChef desserts were wild, Koi took things even further. We're talking about desserts that look like floating clouds, ultra-realistic fruit creations, and plated dishes so precise they looked like they belonged in a museum. If Willy Wonka and a Michelin star chef had a love child, it would be Koi. And boy, did the world pay attention, because in 2021, Reynold teamed up with Magnum to create limited edition, one-of-a-kind ice cream creations that had his signature touch. Sleek, modern, and bursting with flavor. At this point, even Michelin star chefs were acknowledging that what Reynold was doing with desserts was on a completely different level. And that's what makes him special. After season 12, Reynold said that he would no longer be returning to compete as he was planning to move on. But even though he wasn't coming back as a contestant, it didn't mean he wouldn't be coming back at all, because in season 13, he was invited to be a guest judge during an elimination challenge. Reynold returned to MasterChef as a guest judge, standing where legends like Gordon Ramsay, Heston Blumenthal, and other top-tier chefs had stood before him. Imagine that! The same guy who once nervously plated his coconut panna cotta in an audition was now mentoring contestants, guiding them on how to elevate their dishes. That's when you know you've made it. Where is Reynold now? Today, Reynold is still doing what he does best, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with desserts. Koi continues to thrive, and his reputation only grows stronger. He even teaches some of his recipes on his social media. Reynold has proven that he's not just a pastry chef, he's a visionary. Someone who sees food as an experience, as an art form. Someone who doesn't just make desserts, he creates them.